when it comes to CJ Stroud not throwing, RELAX.
That would be so good.
Yes, CJ, I do have something to say. Welcome to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast, all one word. And make sure you're subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk YouTube channel. Follow me at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on Instagram, because you know we do everything for the gram. And I just appreciate you all being here, making the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast your first listen of the day. All right, so let's just normally I would have something for you all as far as, quick little story time before we get into what we want to talk about. But I want to jump right into this thing because this whole chicken little skies falling thing when it comes to Texans quarterback CJ Stroud is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, y'all. Stroud is okay. The sky is not falling. Stroud is okay. I don't understand why this has become such a big deal. I mean, I can imagine why. I'm not going to even lie to you. I guess if I was on one of the major networks, or if I was on one of the major platforms, I guess if I was in search of content, I would probably do the same thing. I'd probably get Texans fans and Texans fans all riled up, and AFC South competitors in their heads thinking, oh, maybe we have a chance to win the AFC South this year if CJ is not fully healthy. But CJ is healthy. He's healthy. I've spoken on this on numerous occasions. He is healthy. Nothing is wrong with him except he is sore. And people want to automatically jump to, hey man, what's going on with CJ? Did he do this? Did he do that? Let me ask you a question. How come CJ can't be sore from maybe just throwing himself? The workouts that he's doing on his own, the ones that are not being, showcased or broadcasted on IG or any social media platform, on TikTok or on X. Like, what if CJ is just sore from doing his own private workouts? That could be something too, right? One of the things that CJ Stroud has done this offseason compared to his first offseason, coming out of year one, coming out of his rookie year, you haven't seen CJ like you did before. Coming out of his rookie year, CJ Stroud was everywhere. You've seen CJ everywhere on all kinds of podcasts, on all kinds of shows during the draft. I think him and Dallas Cowboys defensive end Micah Parsons went to Japan together, if I'm not mistaken. They did a media tour over there. Every time you turn around, him and Micah Parsons was doing something. And you haven't seen that from CJ this year. And I think that's one of the things that he wanted to focus on more, was to dial back a little bit on being a superstar and just focusing on doing what he needs to do. And with that being said, because CJ Stroud didn't have a bad year, but he had a bad year according to his standards. Like, these are his own words. He felt like he could have done better. There's a lot of plays he felt that he left, a lot of plays he left on the field. There was a lot of things that he could have been better at throughout the season. And we quickly, we jumped to we quickly jumped to former offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. We jumped to how the offensive line play wasn't good, but CJ Stroud has self-admitted that he could have played better too. There was things that he could have done better. In the media, we talked to him about that on the record and off the record, and he knows that there's things and there's plays that he wants to make this year. There's things that he wants to improve on and get better on than he was last year. So maybe CJ Stroud is just taking this time to get himself better away from all the limelight and just focusing on CJ. Maybe CJ is sore from just working out on his own. But on Tuesday, we had an opportunity to speak with Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans after practice. And here's what he had to say about it.
A little bit. First off, I know everybody's going to ask. First, is CJ not throwing again? There's no concerns with CJ. It's just general soreness. We're taking extra precaution with him, but he'll be good to go. No concerns on my end there. Really excited the way our guys are working and competing out at practice. When you see a good team, what excites me is you're seeing both sides make plays. Offense, defense, there's a lot of back and forth, guys making plays. So really excited to see where our team are here in our second week of practicing. They're really growing, developing, taking the steps we need to take, and it's fun to watch. No, I said, for CJ, it'll be, like I said, he has general soreness, and we're just taking extra precaution with him. When he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
Did he have any work on his shoulder in the offseason?
That's it for CJ, guys. On the questions, that's it. What I said, that's it for him. Like, his general soreness, and we're taking extra precaution with him. We're not going to rush him into anything. He'll be fine. When the moment is for him to be ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
And that's the one thing that I liked about what DeMeco said at the end of the press conference. I'm sorry, at the end of that video clip. That was it for CJ. That's it for the CJ questions. Because what else did you expect for him to say? Right? What else was he going to say? He said, started the press conference off with, hey, CJ's not throwing. I know there's going to be a lot of questions. He had general soreness. There was a second question that came. Hey, CJ isn't throwing because he has general soreness. And then a third question was asked. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I don't want to be that. I'm not going to be that guy, because it is our responsibility in the media to ask the questions. Like I'm not mad at the two people who asked him the follow-up questions after he made his initial statement, after he made the opening statement about CJ. I'm not mad about that. Those two guys did their job. That's what you're supposed to do. DeMeco opened it up to the question. He opened it up when he started talking about CJ, which he knew that he was going to get those questions because CJ did not practice on Tuesday. Like, he was out there and he started out, he had on helmets, he had on his jersey. But then when they started the 7-on-7, the team drills, the 7-on-7s, he was still there. He was still in helmets and jersey. But when they started the team drills, the 11-on-11, CJ had already took his helmet off. CJ had already took his jersey off. CJ, we knew at that point, CJ was not going to be involved in any of the activities for the rest of the day. And so DeMeco knew that he was going to be asked that question. That's why he opened up the press conference with it. And like I said, I'm not mad at the two people who did the follow-up questions, but I can also understand it from DeMeco's perspective. Like, if you guys are going to keep asking me this question, I'm going to keep giving you the same answer. You guys are going to keep asking me this question, and I'm going to keep giving you the same answer. So how about we just go ahead and stop all of the, how about we just go ahead and put it out there that there won't be any more CJ Stroud questions. And if you do, then DeMeco probably would have just been like, next question. Because it was nothing else he was going to say. And, from my perspective, I'm like, hey, when you get on a pattern, or that they're going to keep, using that same sentence. I'll never forget when, I don't remember the years, so don't ask me the years. I just remember that today is my anniversary anniversary with my lovely wife. I can remember June 4th. All these other days, and I remember October 16th, which is her birthday. All these other days, hey, look, man, you lucky if I remember what remember what tomorrow's date is. So I don't remember the year, but whatever the year, the Houston Texans fired Brian Gaine. Bill O'Brien came to the podium with a pre-written statement. Before he took any questions, Bill O'Brien read that statement. Bill O'Brien read that statement. And then he opened it up for questions. And then somebody asked him a question about it. He said, per my statement, per what I said. And this went on for, I don't know, 8, 9 questions. They just kept asking him the same thing. And he kept saying, hey, what did I say in my statement? You know, what did I say in the statement? I opened this press conference up with the statement. He kept referring back to the statement. So when it was my turn to ask the question, I asked him a football question. I think I asked him about the number of wide receivers that was, well, I don't know if this was OTAs or minicamp. Whenever they fired him, I asked him about wide receivers. And then you had some of these guys on the radio. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy would ask this type of question. Why would he ask a dumb question like that, knowing when the biggest story of the day is is Brian Gaine getting fired? Is the Texans general manager getting fired? How did this guy get a credential? Why did he say this, that, and the other? Side note, the two guys who said that, they said that early on. I called in. They, played through it on the skit, but they realized that they were going to have to see me too. So when we got to, I don't know if that was OTAs training camp, I don't know what it was, but the Texans had to practice that exact that next day. Those guys had to see me, and let's just say they didn't keep that same energy. The same energy wasn't had. I digress. I asked Bill O'Brien the question about something different than the Brian Gaine, because listen, I'm old enough to remember when there was a time growing up in an African-American household with my mama, growing up in a black single parent household, when my mama said something and then you asked her a question about it and she said, I told you once, you ain't gonna get no different answer. Now, you may get something else coming behind that if you try to push it and ask her a third time. But when my mama would say, God rest her soul, when my mama would say, hey, I done told you once, that's it. I've given you my answer. Hey, look, ain't no use for me to keep asking the same question knowing that I'm going to get the same answer. So that's why I asked Bill O'Brien a different question, because I didn't want to hear per my statement. Oh, you just got to get the question out there to get it on the record. For what? That's a waste of a question. And so with what DeMeco Ryans did on Tuesday was, hey, guys, before you all even waste your time and waste your question, before you waste your time and waste your question, let me stop it right here. I've said 3 consecutive things about CJ. I've said two things about CJ. This third thing I'm telling you all, that I'm not going to answer any more CJ Stroud questions, because I'm going to keep telling you that it's general soreness. Just like I picked up on, Bill O'Brien was not going to deviate from his pre-written statement that he had already made on Tuesday after OTAs. I knew that DeMeco Ryans was not going to deviate from what he opened up the press conference with. He was not going to deviate from that. And so actually he did the media a favor. And what I mean by doing the media a favor is he said, hey, look, y'all might want to ask some different questions, because if you waste your time and you waste your question on this, I'm going to keep telling you the same thing. So let's just go ahead and get this out the way, because if you keep asking, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. Like I said, I am not upset by, because upset may be the wrong word. It doesn't bother me that those 2 questions were asked right after he made the initial statement. That the media members who asked that, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. And then DeMeco shut it down with general soreness. Now, one of the reasons why you listen to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk, all one word, YouTube page is this. So on Tuesday, I got some information, right? I got some information. And how I obtained the information, how I acquired the information is funny, because I was having a conversation and I was like, man, CJ probably not going to throw again today. CJ's not going to, CJ probably won't get out there and throw. And then I was told, hey Sarge, let me tell you something. And let me tell this to you because I like you, because I know who you are. I respect you and I respect your work. Sarge, let me tell you this. Have you ever sat back and thought that maybe CJ isn't throwing right now because Nick Caley wants to see what he has in Davis Mills? The only full game video, the only full game that they have of Davis Mills is what, week 18 against Tennessee? That's not enough. And you don't want me to go back until like 4 years ago when he was the starter. We knew what this was all about here. Hey, Sarge, you ever thought about Nick Caley needs to see Davis Mills in action? Not so much Slovis, but he needs to see what he has in his backup quarterback just in case CJ isn't available throughout the season. What if something happens? What if CJ gets injured? You ever thought about that? I said, what? I said, damn, that makes perfect sense. He said, and that's why I told it to you, Sarge. That's why I told it to you, because I know you would understand. I know that you are smart enough to know, wow. Now I want you to take that, Sarge, and just think about that. Just think about that. And after I was told that from there, I was just like blown away. I could not stop thinking about it, because I'm like, why would Nick Caley need to see CJ Stroud throwing to the wide receivers? They're barely putting in any of the plays that they're going to run throughout the season, and that's not going to be the majority of the on-field stuff won't be implemented until training camp. And so what they're doing is some of the just basic stuff. But Nick Caley needs to see, and Nick Caley needs to evaluate and see what he has in Davis Mills. He doesn't have enough game footage on Davis Mills to see what he can and what he can't do. Maybe that's, y'all ever thought about that? Because I didn't think about that till I was told that by a source. And then when I was told that by the source, I said, oh, so you telling me something without telling me something. Hey, can I talk about that? Yeah, you can talk about that. As long as you don't use my name, I'm cool with that. Y'all know how I am. I'm not going to reveal my sources. I never, not never. Not going to do it. Whatever the consequences and the repercussions that come with it, I'll take it. But think about that. Think about that yourselves, because it made me think. And I'm saying to myself, that makes total sense, because Nick Caley does not know what he has in Davis Mills. He knows exactly what he has in CJ Stroud. He's watched CJ Stroud. There's enough game footage on CJ Stroud. He knows how CJ Stroud has played the last 2 years. He knows CJ Stroud's strengths and he knows CJ Stroud's weaknesses. He does not know Davis Mills. He does not know Davis Mills' strengths and weaknesses. And you got to have full confidence in your backup quarterback to know, hey, if something happens to the starter, I can put you right in and we could keep it moving. Or, hey, maybe you're not a fit for this team. And let me preface my statement by saying this. I'm not saying that I was told that Davis Mills is getting cut. So don't try to clip this up and run with it and say, hey, Sarge said Davis Mills might get cut. No, I did not say that. I said that in the evaluation process, everything is on the table. Because for just as much as Davis Mills may fit Nick Caley's offense, for just as much as Davis Mills may fit the mindset, the mentality of what Nick Caley wants to do, it could also be the opposite. It could also be the opposite. There could be a situation. There could be a situation where Nick Caley is like, I'm not comfortable with watching Davis after going through training camp. I don't know if he will be able to run this offense if CJ went out. Then there could be a possibility of him saying, hey, look, I have full confidence that if something happens to CJ, Davis can step right in and keep this thing moving. He can step right in and keep this ship afloat until CJ gets back. So with that being said, right? With that being said, you ever thought about that? Texas fans, local media, national media, content creators. You ever thought that Nick Caley is taking this time to see what he has in CJ Stroud? You ever thought that maybe the general soreness could be from from CJ's perspective on working out and throwing? Maybe CJ could have thrown too much. I'm just throwing that in, piggybacking off of what I said earlier. But when you look at what I was told, and when me being out there in OTAs the last 2 weeks, I'm saying to myself, God dang, that makes perfect sense. Davis is running first team 7-on-7. I mean, first team 7-on-7s. He's running first team drills 11-on-11. Davis Mills is working with Nico Collins. He's working with Christian Kirk. He's working with Jalen Noah and Jaden Higgins. Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins. Make sure I got that right. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I pronounce that young man's last name the right way. So that's something for you all to think about. That is something for you all to think about, because that dang show was on my mind. And if CJ doesn't through mandatory minicamp on next week, it'll make more sense. And moving into training camp now, once I see moving into training camp with CJ taking the first team reps, with CJ with CJ taking the first team reps, and then you have Davis coming in. I say, okay, so now I get it. You got to think about it, man. Nick Caley comes from a long line of being around a bunch of big thinkers. When he was in New England, he was around a bunch of big thinkers. And when he was with the Los Angeles Rams, I've said this on multiple occasions, Sean McVay is the smartest man to ever coach football, ever in history. He's by far the smartest head coach in the NFL right now. And when you listen to Nick Caley talk, you could hear the Sean McVay influence. And so if he took that time to learn those things from Sean McVay, I have no qualms. I think without a shadow of a doubt that that's the plan. Hey, let me see what I got. I need to see what I have in Davis before I move into training camp, and what can be implemented and how Davis will be able to pick up on my system. But I just need to get my own eyes on how he gets in and out of the huddle, how his approach is at the line, Does his teammates respond to him? How is he responding to what the defense is doing to him? Because they were mixing and matching throughout OTAs. The defense was showing different looks to Davis as well. Hey, how is he going to handle adversity? What are some of his weaknesses? What are some of his strengths? Just something to think about, man. That's all. That's all I'm telling you all is, hey, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have never ever thought about that until my the person who was talking to me said, "Hey, Sarge, think about this." I was like, wow. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you're subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube page, Texans Tailgate Talk, all one word. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end, because we do everything for the gram. All right, y'all, I got to get ready to get up out of here to prepare myself for the Texans happy hour, which, by the way, is going to be exclusive. Coming here soon. It's going to be exclusively on the Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel. I love doing those Texans happy hour. I want to take this time to thank AD, host of the H-Town Rundown, for joining me at the last happy hour. That was a great time. Great time. If you can join and you can catch them live, because it's one of those things where the great fan interaction. We just talking, we just having fun. It's a relaxed environment. I read the comments, I post the comments on the while I'm doing the live, but this is your opportunity and your chance to talk back to me. Big Sarge, I'm out.
Big sauce. Yes, sir.